Hey, what's going on, Trojan family? What is up? Welcome to the USC LAFB show here on the LAFB network. I'm Ryan Dyer. That's Tim Prangley, the great one, coming at you on a Monday, Tuesday morning. Whenever you're listening, thank you, as always, for making this a part of your day. Tim, we wanted to jump on here because obviously some big injuries happened in that big victory over Iowa. And it's early in the week, so we won't have injury updates really yet on how these guys are progressing. But this could be huge impact for this team, especially going into their biggest game of the season with Oregon up in Eugene on Saturday. For those that maybe didn't see or didn't know for sure or haven't watched our show, first of all, what are you doing? Hit that like and subscribe if you are. But during the game, Elijah Paige, left tackle, goes down. You also have Kamari Ramsey go down. And you have Bishop Fitzgerald go down. None of those three returned. The Trojans were able to overcome and win, but those are significant players. Let's start on the offensive line. Well, first and foremost, my bad, Tim, how you doing? Happy Monday to you. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. Finally, I got all the water out of my system after getting drenched on the field on Saturday. It's still wet here in Southern California, but I don't mind the rain if I can sit in my room, you know, here and record instead of being out on the Coliseum floor getting drenched.
Just getting shellacked.
Fourth quarters, these games are getting it's like taking a shower in South Bend and at the Coliseum. So happy to be here.
Yes, no, great. Yeah, you finally had to squeegee everything, clean it all out. But yeah, the rain's great when you can stay inside and just relax. And it's actually very therapeutic, I feel like. But let's start with the offensive line. We've talked all season, Tim, about how just impressed we've been by this unit, by this versatility. We talked a little bit on our recap about it. Let me just start with this. With Elijah Paige, I mean, we don't know exactly what his status is yet. I'll be at practice tomorrow on Tuesday, so maybe we'll get a small update there. The fact that he didn't return doesn't make me feel good about his availability for this Saturday, but we'll see. So I'll ask you this, like, how much of an impact do you think him specifically, like he's obviously a great left tackle going into the season. He was seen as the #1 guy on the offensive line, period. But this group has played really well in the games that he's had to miss. I mean, goes out in the Illinois game, missed Michigan, Notre Dame, goes out in this one, and they've kind of been able to be okay. But do you think in your mind, if he were not able to go, is that a huge loss against this Oregon defensive front?
Absolutely. I mean, you just named some teams. I feel like you're not going to miss him as much the way Michigan's Michigan's defensive front was, but he was noticeably missed, I think, at Notre Dame. I think we run the ball a hell of a lot better in that Notre Dame game if we have Elijah. I mean, you can't lose a left tackle like Elijah. The guy's a lock for the NFL. He's that prototype guy. He just seems like that anchor on that left side. And so when you do that, you kind of upset everything. It's not that, you know, Tobias Raymond can't do a good job at that tackle position. They move him over, but man, he does a great job at that right guard. And then, you know, it just having those five, we've seen when those five are in there, how we run the ball. We've seen the last couple of games, how we run the ball, and we've seen it, how they run the ball when he's out. So yeah, I think that although Hansen and his guys have done a great job doing that shuffle work, there is a noticeable difference, in my opinion, especially in the run game when he's out. So that's an issue for the game.
Yeah, huge for sure. I think he is definitely, regardless of how well everyone's kind of moved around, I think he is the best option at left tackle for this team. And if healthy, you know, could be a top end pick in this year's draft. We'll see if he ends up returning, actually, just because of the injuries. His draft stock may go down. So USC may kind of get a break and get him back next year. What's interesting, Tim, is, you know, the team obviously knows a lot more than we do. Who knows if there needs to be an MRI or something like that. But I think what's important to think about is, you know, they kind of need to have clarity. You know, here it is Monday evening, you know, if they practice today and certainly going into Tuesday, kind of really, they won't tell us, but they need to know what his game status is, because the last thing you want, Tim, is them kind of practicing throughout the week, kind of going back and forth, like giving some reps to Paige, But if he's not fully there yet, then they kind of are testing Tobias Raymond. They're moving Tawanow over. Like, they need to have all week of preparation with the same 5 guys so they can go into Oregon fully prepared. Because the last thing you want is all week kind of anticipating maybe Paige is ready if he's questionable, and then come game day, like, nope, we got to switch it all around again. Because as good as they've done in having those situations, you know, it still does take some drives, some snaps to kind of get up to speed. I mean, going from guard to tackle for Tobias Raymond specifically, I mean, those are completely different blocking assignments. So when you start the game at guard and then move over to tackle, like, there's a lot going on in that mind to think about what's shifting. Now, he's done a great job, but if you can just go into the game saying, like, okay, I am going to be left tackle this game, these are my assignments, I think that is important. So how important do you think it is that they have clarity basically from Tuesday onward and stick with it?
Yeah, I mean, technique even, right? Inside, you got your arms in a little more, you know, so it's all different things that you have to switch up during the week. I mean, I think he has the muscle memory playing as much as he has inside and out. He's very versatile. But yeah, I get, you know, one of the units, especially that's talked about all the time, is the offensive line. You need to have that continuity of reps, but the guy next to you, you know, so you do need to have a feel for each other. I think they have that, Ryan, through this year. But like you said, getting those first team reps this week, getting prepared against a scout team for Oregon and knowing responsibilities, and it's going to be invaluable. And I mean, I'm not holding my breath on this one. You know, as much as we want to say that there's not much of a drop off, I do think this is going to be a talented. You're going up against Mateo Uyungale, which, you know, one of the guys that we really want to hear at USC. This is a talented front for Oregon, and they're going to need to be on the same page. So getting those reps early, I think, is going to be very valuable to the team. I just want to make sure this, like, right up front, you know, with this team, as far as the offensive line is concerned, we need to make sure we get that protection up in Oregon, because we can't afford turnovers. That's the key. You know, what's been so nice about having this offensive line is the fact that Jade has been very comfortable back there. I think no matter what, even with Elijah Paige, we were going to have a hell of a pass rush. If guys are missing assignments, it might be a long time for them. So yeah, getting those first team reps, whoever's gonna be in there is gonna be vital to know early. And I think they should know that by tomorrow.
Yeah.
If not today.
I think totally. I think that's just important, just knowing what you're doing moving forward. And what's your thoughts on, you know, I know you're kind of in a awkward situation, not awkward, but like a tough viewing experience being on the field, taking photos you can't see. So this is more bird's eye, not based on Iowa's game, but we've seen now when they have been without Paige, we've seen in the Michigan and Notre Dame game, Tobias Raymond was playing right tackle. They moved Justin Tawanow over to left tackle and then had Micah Benuelos at left guard. In the Iowa game, they decided to just move Tobias Raymond from left guard to left tackle and insert Kalon Miller at left guard and keep the right side intact. Now, again, I know you didn't get to fully see everything in the Iowa game, but like, what do you think is the better scenario? I guess I'm putting you on the spot. I don't really have an answer because it's hard to tell, but do you think Tobias is better suited at left tackle or right tackle? Like, I mean, how do you break that down?
I mean, you also have to break down just you have Justin Taunu'u on the right side. He's Taunu'u.
Thank you. I always say his name wrong, so thank you. Taunu'u.
Yeah. Well, the part I was getting wrong was Ooh. Actually, I spoke to his dad to find out after the game, because I finally wanted to look. I've heard everyone saying the name differently. How do you say it? He broke it down for me. And I'm hoping pretty darn close. I just like the continuity with him, you know, over there now, because here's the thing. Kalon Miller came in to play guard in this last game. I'm kind of curious to see. You have Micah Benuelos, who's been out with injuries. It's gonna be interesting what this lineup looks like, you know, come Saturday. But I think that Tobias Raymond's done a good job at the left side there. I like what I always see from Alani and Noah. There's once or twice a game, though, you know, you have those moments where there's some mix-ups, but overall the left side has been pretty solid. And then so when you swap out Elijah Paige and Tobias Raymond with Paige out, I feel comfortable with that left side. And I think Justin's done a pretty damn every game Justin's getting better on that right side. So I like him anchoring down the right side where he's comfortable. So yeah, I mean, I think that quick switch is the best way. I think it's what we're going to see. I think the question mark is going to be, Is Micah Banuelos healthy? Is he coming in for Kalon? I mean, Kalon's shown us that he can move, man. Like his motor, he's quick. So he's a little bit smaller, but he can move pretty damn fast, which in this offense, you give him a little bit of size, but you add a little quickness, and that's been beneficial. But I would think that if Micah's 100%, you might see Micah at right guard, but we'll see. You know, we'll see how healthy Micah is and what the game day decision is. But that's probably what I'm looking at from left to right. Raymond, and then you have Noah. I think that, you know, O'Connor's going to be obviously in the middle. I know that Jean-Ray Reed was questionable, but I still think that he's kind of buckled that down now that he's back. I think they might want to keep that continuity for this game. And then going to the right side, it's going to be Kalon Miller or Banuelos, and then, like you said, Justin Taonu over on the right side.
Or Noah on the right side, you mean, in either Banuelos or Miller on the left side, right? It's confusing.
What I said.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think it was interesting to see when they did the full like flips through the season, because you're changing, like you're making, and they did well. So it wasn't like they did bad, but it was just so odd. Not odd, but I mean, we're, you know, seeing it from a different lens. But when you lose a left tackle, moving the right tackle away, moving him to left, moving the guard over to right, when you can just kind of slide the guard to left. So I'm even confusing myself trying to say it, but I agree with you. I think it just makes more sense moving Toby from left guard to left tackle, just over one spot, keeping the right side the same.
Right side clean. Yeah.
Keeping it clean and the same continuity from center over to right tackle, and then just having to plug and play someone at left guard, whether it's Miller or Banuelos.
Because Justin and Noah been, you know, and Elijah been doing such a great job.
Yes.
Why mix it up? You got one side just kind of slide over, then if it's Banuelos or if it's Kalon Miller at left guard, that's the guy you plug in.
Exactly. And I think it will depend, and then we'll move from the O-line. It kind of depends on the game plan a little bit too. Because to your point, I think you said a great thing there is I think Micah has, you know, good athleticism. Definitely. I don't think he's lacking, but he's definitely a bigger build. Like, you know, when you're running power, when you're kind of running that gap scheme, he's a little more suited, where when you're running a lot of counter, Kalon Miller gives you a little bit more athleticism and kind of speed to get to those spots. So how they approach the game against Oregon might actually decipher which one of those two guys they would go with, at least start with, as well, which we'll look into more kind of as the week and we prep for this Oregon defensive line. But they have some versatility there, which is nice, obviously, because I think both guys can play really well. They have played really well.
And we haven't seen a lot of Kalon, but I've been really happy all year what I've seen from Micah Banuelos in pass protection. So I think in this game, that's
such a good anchor in pass pro.
That's just going to be huge. And so if you have Tobias moving over, you know, to left tackle, I think maybe having that slightly better pass protection. I would want to lean towards Banuelos, but again, I haven't seen a lot of Kalon, so it's unfair for me to say that. But I've been happy with what I've seen from Micah. So,
yeah, totally. So, all right, going over to defense and the safeties. I mean, how unlucky can you get that your both starting safeties go out, get injured, don't come back? I heard from someone, I believe, that both guys were getting MRIs. Don't quote me on that. I don't want to put any rumors out there, but that's never a good sign if you're getting an MRI for something, which probably happens a lot anyway behind the scenes. So we'll see tomorrow if we get an update. Hopefully if it's a Lincoln Riley update of, okay, yeah, you'll see on the injury report, then hey, they have a shot to playing. If he comes out and says they're out for the year, that will obviously be devastating. But let's start with Ramsey. I mean, how huge of a loss is this to him? This is a guy that coming into the year was, I think, no doubt the number one defensive player. Some could argue Eric Gentry, but I think most would say Ramsey was the most talented defensive player on this roster. And then just his versatility. I mean, obviously he's best suited at safety, but he's been the nickel guy they've really counted on because of injuries, and he's filled in and been such a leader and willing to do that. I mean, just how big of a loss will he be if he is unable to go against Oregon? Well,
you just took the words out of my mouth. It's that the versatility word that D'Anton always talks about. He's that guy in the secondary that could play, you know, everywhere. And when Lynn talks about the secondary, he talks about it as interchangeable pieces anyway. But if he talks about what typifies that, that's going to be Kamari Ramsey. And then you can't downplay just him as a leader on the team. You know, he's that guy. He's your green dot guy. He knows this. He's been in the scheme. Remember, he's had one more year in Lynn's system than anybody on this defense, because he was with him at UCLA. So, I mean, there's so much losing him physically, leadership wise, just getting the place set right, on the field. I mean, all different parts of this is damaging for USC. I think that I agree with you. I think that you look at Eric, his contribution to linebackers this year has been Kamari, and he's done it quietly. I mean, a lot of people say, "Where's he been? Where he's been?" I don't know if people are watching. He's not showing up in the stats, but he's definitely there in the game. So, I mean, the luck of USC finally getting a secondary looking like it's improving. Yeah. And then as we go to Eugene, their wide receivers are getting healthy apparently, and our entire secondary, well, both safeties, knocked out for the game. Huge loss for USC.
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw, we can point to whatever the issues were in the Illinois game, but I think the biggest issue was not having Kamari Ramsey in that game. I think that's a huge. I mean, they might end up winning, and the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed, but with Ramsey out there, they may win that game. I mean, they may win that game with him out there. You're not throwing Kevin Longstreet in the slot, getting picked apart at the start of the game. And obviously, we know how that game went. We're not going to rehash it, but only lose by 2. And we're looking at maybe an undefeated Big Ten team right now in the conference. I mean, so it would be a monumental loss if he's unable to go. And, we'll get to the preview later in the week, but I'll be honest, I think it'll be very hard for them to overcome without Kamari Ramsey. And then on top of that, Bishop Fitzgerald leads the team, 5 interceptions. He has clearly, I think, been the best transfer in this class. When you look at the transfer portal class, he has been the one true kind of home run hit that has been an awesome center fielder for this defense. And, luckily you have a Christian Pierce, so they've played a lot of 3 safety sets because they've moved Ramsey down to that nickel spot. So I think Pierce really is not a huge drop off in that, but I think Fitzgerald has become a leader of this defense. He really understands the scheme a lot better now going into week 10, 11, whatever, week 12, whatever we're in right now. So, in your mind, just how big of a loss is it? I mean, I'll say this, Tim, and then I'll toss you. I feel like from the sentiment reading between the lines, Fitzgerald's injury maybe was not as big. So hopefully he will be back, but I really have no idea. So anticipating him not being there, just how big is that loss also in your eyes?
I don't know. Anytime you leave the game on a cart and you get carted off, right? And if your cart's to the locker room, it's never really a good thing. I'm with you back on the MRI thing. I think a lot of injuries, I think that's just like,
standard protocol.
Due diligence to do MRIs if there's like an injury to a lower leg. But is he leading the Big Ten? If he's not, he's among the leaders of the Big Ten in interceptions. He's leading SC with interceptions. He's been a Thorpe Award, finalist. I mean, he has been. I mean, I guess on the opposite side, you could say Waymon Jordan, who's also been there, but really outside of those guys, there've been a lot of guys that really haven't lived up to the billing in the transfer portal, but he absolutely has. He's been a star on this defense, and it's gonna be a big miss. We're worried about the running game from against Oregon. Now, here's the thing: the football's dynamic, so you want to put more guys up in the box, right, to get a heavy box to stop the run. But then you lose your most 2 experienced guys on the field. Now you're Danton Lynn's got to try to figure out some chess, and like how is he going to move these pieces around? Well, he's still going to try to slow down, if not kind of neuter that run game. Then that leaves you exposed with guys on the back end that probably don't have the experience this year. Young guys overall that don't have the experience. I know they've been fitting in throughout the season, but then you open yourself up to the pass game. So it's gonna be interesting the way that Danton Lynn plays this chess game with these guys. Urlacher had that heady play at the end of the game to knock the guy out of bounds. He had a play in the flat, where if he doesn't make that tackle, and it was like you can see his football acumen. He really does know how to play the game, and as a guy that didn't really get a whole lot of playing time, correct me if I'm wrong, when he was at Notre Dame, he didn't have a whole lot of steps. He was become a special teams guy. He's been a special teams guy here. So the way he's playing, you can see the bloodlines coming through, because he's definitely made some heady plays. And like I said, that play in the flat could have gone for a touchdown in a game where you win by 4. I mean, you win the game by less than a touchdown, I should say. Then those plays like that, are game savers. I like what you're seeing, but obviously you're going to see a drop off in the secondary. There's no doubt about it. There's no way to sugarcoat that.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I mean, there was rave reviews about Urlacher in fall camp, and I think he's probably even progressed since then. So, you know, they're confident in what he can do if needed, but it is going to be a bit of a drop off. And most of that drop off is just due to experience. I mean, just a guy that hasn't, like you said, was basically a special teamer at Notre Dame and now got his first taste of action here just last week against Iowa. When he came in, I thought he played great for having to come in cold off the bench. You know, Iowa it was so weird, the Iowa offensive game, like how they were so pass heavy early. And then in the second half, they were so like there was really a non-existent passing game. Part of that was just the defense playing so much better, and especially the defensive front putting pressure. But yeah, he did make some plays when called upon. And so what'll be interesting that we can kind of pivot to, Tim, and kind of wrap this up is
one more thing. Sorry, yeah. Really quickly before you move off somewhere else. I do feel, however, that with Urlacher and with Pierce, I like their run defense. So, yes. I mean, I think that
big hitters.
So when it comes to, you know, getting up in the box and stopping the run, I think that's both those safeties. Yeah, that's exciting. I think where the drop off is going to be, it might be in the passing game, but we'll see. That's why I play the game.
Yeah. Well, and in reality, the big drop off, and again, this is more an experience. And this is kind of what I was going to pivot to, which isn't even that much of a pivot, is, you know, now with if it's Pierce and Urlacher, like who's going to be that nickel? And we saw against Iowa, you know, D. Reddick came in for, I think, only one snap, but we've seen him there before, and he continues to get more trust. Alex Graham is healthy now. He had, I think, 12 or 14 snaps in that spot. So you're basically kind of going to be asking if, again, worst case scenario, both safeties are out. You've got a first-time starting sophomore in Kennedy Urlacher and two true freshmen playing in the nickel, going against an Oregon offense in Eugene. That's going to be tough, Tim. That is going to be, I mean, look at the safety. I think Christian Pierce is fine. I mean, yeah, he's not as good maybe as Kamari Ramsey or Fitzgerald, but he's right there. I mean, I think he's a really good player. He's been in the system now, but asking two true freshmen to have to be your kind of nickel guys, that is where the big challenge is going to be. And I guess I'll ask you this, and obviously comment whatever you want, but do you see more of that where we'll see and just them ride with Graham or Reddick? Or do you think we'll see a lot more three backer sets and Gentry is going to have to be more of that nickel guy because they'd rather die with Gentry than die with a true freshman, I guess?
I mean, most of it's be formation driven, but, you know, obviously, and how the flow of the game's going. I could see them, though, obviously, like you just said, with the lack of experience that nickel does, are going to probably from that. They put Jaden Walker out there and do that 3 linebacker set maybe, and see a lot of that, see if they can up. But it really just depends. You know what's going to depend on, Ryan? It's depend on how many of these Oregon receivers come back healthy. Yeah. You know, if they can get Gary Bryant back, you know, and the Curran Moore. I mean, if those guys come back, then you're going to see those freshmen thrust in because they're going to need to be out there in coverage. I think that they're going to try to attack, and if they do, they're going to try to attack them. They're going to try to attack them. And just got to hope they're ready for it. You know, Reddick got a lot of praise in spring, but, you know, I'll say this, a lot of players got a lot of praise in the spring, and, you know, some of them have stepped up, some of them haven't. So we'll see how it goes on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, then if that's the case, Tim, then, you know, we're going to have to see Denton Lynn draw up some exotic blitzes and disguises to, you know, try to bring the pressure. You can't just leave your true freshman out there on an island, and if they can't get after Dante Moore, then it could be a long day. So we got all week to break down that preview and really look more into Oregon, especially once we hear some of the coaches talk throughout the week and with injury updates that are a little more finalized. But yeah, a ton of excitement around this game, Tim. Obviously, we're excited. The fan base excited. The national media is excited. You know, win this game, and obviously you still got to play UCLA. It's a rivalry game. They're going to want to play spoiler, but all things being considered of what these teams are, like, win this game this Saturday, and USC should be going to the playoffs. So what a time to be alive. What a time to be a Trojan fan, and what a time to have these injuries stack up right going into Eugene. So let's see how this team bounces back. I'm excited. I mean, it's a fun time to cover this team, Tim.
This is what we're hoping for. This USC, people were writing USC off even in the preseason. They didn't think USC is a playoff team, and now USC is right on the cusp of that, fighting for it. It just goes to show you that loss, that last minute field goal loss, the defense that got that stop in Champaign. We're talking a whole different ball game. I mean, we're basically everyone's getting ready. We're worrying about who our matchups going to be in the playoffs, but dropping that game to Illinois kind of made this, a one game at a time since Notre Dame, win or you're out. So these all have been like kind of playing for playoff games going forward. And I think USC so far has done it now with 3 big pieces missing. And I keep saying it. I hope I'm wrong, but it's not just as simple as replacing like one guy. I think when you move that line, when you have those 5 guys together, something special happens up front. The running game just looks unstoppable at times. Moving one piece like Elijah Paige and then having to move Tobias Raymond, I think changes the whole dynamic of the run game. I hope I'm completely wrong. It looks like it's going to be a nice, cold but dry game up in Eugene, which is good for USC, I think. So hopefully they take advantage of that. Get out to a quick start. Yeah, get off to a quick start, and Jaden's gonna have to feel. This is where Jaden's gonna show the poise that we've been wanting to see. Is he gonna keep? Is he kind of going to revert back to what we saw a little bit against Notre Dame and a little bit against Nebraska, or are we going to see him just start carving up like we're used to him doing? So it'll be interesting to see how well the offensive line can protect for him. And it's going to be crazy, you guys. We haven't had a lot of false starts, but this is going to be one of the louder stadiums. Austin's just insane. I don't know what they feed those people up there, but it's going to be loud. They're going to be trying to get in Jaden's head. And we need a clean game and a fast start on both sides of the ball. Otherwise, it's going to be a long day, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. So if Fitz and Ramsey are unable to go, then the Trojans will be without 4 of their 5 starting secondary pieces, all but DeCarlos Nicholson. All would be out when you look at, and 2 of them they lost at the beginning of the year when you look at Prophet Brown and Chasen Johnson, the transfer, who were deemed both to be starters. And then obviously the 2 safeties. So unfortunate timing, but hey, that's the way the game that goes. We'll see how this team can respond and react. And hopefully we'll get some good news this week. And maybe this is all for naught and these guys will be back, which would be even better. So yeah, we'll be at it all week. Tim, any final thoughts before we close this little section out right here?
No, just remember to watch us on Wednesday. We got the call-in show. We had really nice turnout and the calls. And it is your guys' show. We're looking for your interaction. Bring your questions, bring your calls. Jamal and I are ready for you guys Wednesday at 7:00. And then Saturday after the game, we will be going live immediately after the game for a post-game show for a call-in. So check us out then as well.
Yes, sir. So yeah, thank you everyone. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button here at the USC LAFB YouTube channel. Go check out LAFBnetwork.com for all of our LA sports content. So thank you as always for making this a part of your day. For Tim Prengley, I'm Ryan Dyer. As always, family, fight on. Hey, Trojan family, thank you so much for hanging out and watching the USC LAFB show. Before you go, let me tell you quickly about our friends over at Sleeper. Go right now, download the Sleeper app. It's the #1 sports app, not just for season-long fantasy, but they've got live pickers, they've got live stat updates, they've got a chat that you can chat with other users, plus the daily pick'em, which is a blast, or daily fantasy, whatever you want to call it. You go and pick 2 to 8 players across any sports. If you're talking USC, go choose Jade Mayava in his next matchup. Pick more or less passing yards, more or less touchdowns. You stack those, and you can win real money. When you go to make your first deposit, make sure you use our promo code USCLAFB. You're going to get a match deposit up to $100. Put in $100, you get $100 free to play with from Sleeper. Put in 10, they'll match you that $10. So now you're sitting at 20 to play with. But also right now, for any new users, no deposit required. You get $20 free entry. You can stack both. You can get the $20 for free. Go make a deposit. Use USC LAFB. And now you've got a bunch of free money to play with right there on the Sleeper app. Check it out, Trojan family. And when you do, tell them the guys at the USC LAFB sent you.